Good morning. I just wanted to come on real quick and let you know I've been reading all of your posts, and I think I get it, why you're so angry about the idea that delegates would unbind or vote their conscience. Because most of us don't understand the process of all this. I didn't. That's my confession. I did not know what I didn't know before I started working on a campaign. And I want to share with you kind of what we were told when about a year ago actually about this whole process. So we were told that there were 3 phases to every election, 3 gates that every candidate who wanted to be president of the United States had to pass through. The first one, and I'm going to use a football analogy because I think that's appropriate here. The first one we'll call the regular season, and that's the primary elections. And they have different rules, they have different fields, they have different referees, and every state is so different. Some have conventions, some have caucuses, some have open primaries, some have closed primaries. I know in Michigan we have quote unquote a closed primary, but not really, because you just have to pick one ballot or the other. So that's the regular football season, if you will. And if you watch football at all, you know that at the end of the season, someone comes out with the best record. But we don't turn around and give them their Super Bowl rings because there's more to do. So the first phase is the regular season, just like in football. The second phase I would consider to be the playoffs. And we always talked about the playoffs being the state and national convention. And we started preparing for this a year ago. We started figuring out, okay, we have to get the delegates, they need to be loyal to our candidate, and because we need to win that nomination, and there's no guarantee just because you get to convention that you get through convention, because again, you have the regular season and then you have the playoffs. And so what we're in right now is we're in the playoffs, and that's why I have been so passionate about making sure that we come out of the playoffs with the best candidate to send to the Super Bowl. And frankly, the will of the people, you know, there was no clear winner. In fact, the overwhelming majority voted against the current presumptive nominee. But this is not about Donald Trump. This is about following that process all the way through. You know, giving the highest office in the world, basically, to somebody is not a task we take lightly. So you have the regular season, you have to win those games to get to the playoffs. Then you have to show up at the playoffs. You have to show up. You have to show up and you have to work. Now here's a scoop. Some of you have talked about how, you know, we're trying to use the rules and how the rules are being used. And I started thinking about that, about referees, right? And everyone is mad at referees when they rule against your team, or it seems like they're against your team. Me too. But we all aren't quite as mad when we see the refs being kind of favorable towards our team, right? So, and that's going to happen. That's going to happen throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs, and even in the Super Bowl. So we have gone through the playoff season. We had someone come out of the playoff season with the best record, but now it's time to go into the playoffs, and that's where we're at right now. And those playoffs are something that we started preparing for a year ago, and that's not something that all the teams did. Some of the teams didn't prepare at all. Some of the teams waited to the last minute to try to recruit those delegates and make sure that their delegates were really with them. And you know, if you're going to hire the best and brightest, then they need to actually be the best and brightest who know the system and who are going to be able to work the system and understand that there are those 3 phases to every campaign. So we had the regular season, now we have the playoffs, and of course what comes next is a Super Bowl. And we have got to send the best team to that Super Bowl so we can win. So we can win, because it's not a Super Bowl ring that we're after. It's liberty, it's freedom, it's religious freedom, and freedom to associate, freedom to speak, and just all of it. So we know what our freedoms are. We've read the Constitution, we know what we're defending, we know why. All right? But I know that some of you just didn't know all this process because you weren't involved in it, and I get it, because I didn't know it either, and I've been involved for a while. But every candidate has to pass those 3 gates. They have to pass through the regular season, the playoffs, and then on to the Super Bowl. And without that, without passing all 3, you don't get to be president. So we're in the playoffs, we're trying to do the best we can, we're playing the best game we can, like any team should, and we're going to see where it goes. So I hope you have a great day, and God bless.